Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Adam Singer. The webinar is called PalmTech Basics, and during this webinar, we'll be covering everything you need to know to use the PalmTech program for creating great looking reports for your home inspections. I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time out of your schedules to attend the webinar tonight, and I'm confident that it'll be worth your while. Tonight we're covering a lot, and we're walking through all the major aspects of how to use PalmTech. So this will include how to fill out information on a PC, how to fill out information using the app, how to use the cloud drive to transfer files between devices, how to finalize and deliver reports, how to customize the way the report looks, and how to customize and create your own templates. With those being the topics for tonight, we have 3 goals that we'd like to help you accomplish by the end of this webinar. The first one is we want you to learn everything you need to know to be able to produce a report by tomorrow morning with PalmTech. The second is that you learn how to customize PalmTech to set up the report and templates to the way you want. And the last goal is to make sure that we answer any questions that you have about using PalmTech or how to get started with it. So as I just mentioned, we want to make sure we answer questions you have. Now, most of the questions you have will be answered as we're going through the software tonight, but if other questions pop up, or if there's something we just don't cover that you'd like help with, you can actually type that question in, and then I'm going to stand by at the end of the webinar, and then I'll be typing out answers and answering all those. And so you can easily ask questions just by clicking on the question section of the GoToWebinar interface. All you have to do, type your question in, click on send, it'll come in, and then we'll get you an answer by the time this is all done. So at this point, we're ready to dive in and start taking a look at how to use the software. We're going to do 2 demonstrations tonight. The first one is going to focus on how to start an inspection, fill it out, and then finalize and deliver that report to your client. The second demonstration, that's where we're going to focus on how to customize the software to set it up to the way you want. And so with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into our first demonstration. And so the first thing we'll do is we will close out the PowerPoint, and then we're going to open up the PalmTech program. On this first screen here, we have a couple options that are really designed to get us where we want to go fast. So here we can see any inspections that we've been working on that are on the local device, local computer. In the middle, we see our recent cloud inspections. And this will let us see any inspections that we've been working on, maybe from another device, a phone or a tablet that we've put on the cloud, and then we can simply open them up and then load them up on the PC. Then finally, we have our list of our popular templates. And so this will show all the templates you use to start new inspections with. And that's where we're going to start. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start a new inspection. So we'll select our house template. We'll click on Start New. And then that's going to open up the PalmTech program. The first thing we have to do after opening the program is give the file a name. You can name these files however you want, but a pretty common way to name it is with the address, and then you might put the client name or the date, something like that in there. I'm just going to call this 123 Summer Street. We'll click on Save, and we're ready to go. The way it works is over here on the left, we have a list of all the different categories or the different sections that we're inspecting. When we click on one, over on the right, we'll see all the individual inspection items that are within that category. So let's get started working with the lots and grounds category. Filling out information is really straightforward. You're just working your way across the line with these columns. And so this first column, this is for your rating. Next, we have the actual inspection item itself. After that, we have a spot for the description or the material. And then finally, we have a spot where we can type in any notes, any comments, talk about what's going on. So first we have the driveway. So let's click on our rating. And when we do this, you'll see we have several options to choose from. So we have acceptable, not present, not inspected, marginal, defective, and not applicable. Now I gotta say, these are just the standard terms that come with the out-of-the-box software, completely customizable by you. So if you're looking at this saying, this looks pretty good, I want to make some changes. Maybe you want to use satisfactory, maybe you want to use safety items, something like that. Not a problem. And actually during the second demonstration tonight, we're going to take a look at how to customize these ratings. But for now, we'll stick with the standard ones. And so we're going to say the driveway is in good shape. So we're going to mark this as acceptable. We'll come over here to our description, and we'll say it's made out of asphalt. We've selected that. The driveway line is put out, and now we're ready to move on. So next, we have walks. Same thing. It's in good shape. It's acceptable. We'll come over here, and we'll say it's made out of concrete. But let's say as you start walking along the side of the house, and you see that some of the walks, there's actually some that are made out of brick. So we want this to say both concrete and brick. We can just go right back to our drop-down list. We'll see there's a plus sign to the left of all these items. Simply click on that, and it'll add it to it. After that, we have steps and stoops. We're going to mark it marginal. We're going to say we have an issue here, so we're going to want to talk about what that is. For the description, we'll say it's made out of concrete, but since we did mark it marginal, we want to put in a note to explain why it's marginal, what's going on here. The easiest way to do that is to come over here to the note, simply click on the drop down. This is going to pull up all your common items, and these lists are completely editable, so it's real easy to set these up with the language you want, and you find the one that describes what's going on. So we'll say that the issue here is it's pitted and chipped, and so we'll simply select that from the list. We've added our comment, and now we're ready to move on to the next item, which happens to be porch. Porch is acceptable. We'll come over here to our description, and let's say that we don't see what we want. That's not a problem. Simply click in the box and then type it in. So we'll just type in something new. We'll say it's a new item. And what PalmTech does is as soon as you go to move on, it recognizes, hey, you just typed something in. It's not in the list already. Is this something you want to add in to use it on future inspections? We'll say this is something that we're going to use again and again. So we do want to add this in. We want this to be available on future inspections. So we'll click on yes. And now when we go back to the drop-down list, we'll see we have something new is now available in the list. Makes it very easy to build up these drop-downs to have the information you want in it. So next we have patio, and we're going to say this property doesn't have a patio, so we'll mark it not applicable. Now, when we mark something as not applicable, what that means is it still shows up on screen, so we can still see it here, but it's not going to show up on your printed report. And that's important, because if you're doing an inspection, you come across something that's just not on the property, you don't want that showing up on the report and looking like it's empty or blank or like it was skipped. Because if your client gets it and it sees has patio on there and nothing's filled out for it, they're going to wonder, wait a second, did my inspector, did they miss something? What's wrong with the patio? Did you skip it? And so by marking it not applicable, it just takes it off the report and just helps eliminate any potential for those types of questions. You can mark a line not applicable, like we did here at patio. You can do the same thing with an entire category. And so let's say that the property we're inspecting doesn't have a crawl space. We can simply click on it, come right here to the top, check not applicable, and now the crawl space category is set not to show up on the printed report. When we go back to lots and grounds, you'll notice there's an X next to crawl space, and that's just a visual indicator, kind of a cue letting you know there's nothing else that needs to be filled out in this category for it to be considered complete. And you'll get that under one of two circumstances. First, you mark it not applicable, like we did here. Since it's not applicable, it's not on the property, you don't have to fill out anything. It's complete. The second one is if you were to work your way through and fill out every single item in a category, you would get that X letting you know, hey, it's filled out, you didn't miss anything. Next up, we got deck. And we have some issues with the deck. So we're going to mark this as defective. We'll say it's made out of stained wood. And we'll come over here to our notes. And again, we can click on our note dropdown. You can also just click right where it says note. And this pulls up the edit note window. And so we have a couple of options here. One, we can come right to these common notes again so we can see the dropdowns. So we'll say that the issue here is that there's some moisture damage. We can also type something in on this screen. So if what we came across isn't in the drop-down list, or if we want to elaborate or make some tweaks to it, we can easily do that. So simply say this is the other issue. Also on this screen, you can change the font and you can change the color. So since this is defective, I want this to stand out. So I'm going to mark this as red. So now this note will show up in red. Now for items that are defective, of course, every time you mark something, you could go ahead, come in here, tell it to show up in red, but you can also set it up ahead of time that says, hey, if I mark something as defective, that means it's an issue. I always want it to show up in red, those notes. Same thing with marginal, right? If I mark something as marginal, I want to bring attention to this. So I want those notes to always show up in green. And so you can set that up when you edit your ratings and really just save some time. So we'll click on OK. And so we've filled out our deckline. We've talked about what's going on. But let's say we want to show what's going on. So we want to add in a picture. Adding in pictures to the reports are very easy. All we have to do is we're going to resize this PalmTech screen, the window, and we're just going to make it so it's not taking up the full screen. Next, you're going to open up the folder that has your pictures in it. And here, I just have a couple pictures from an inspection. And what you're going to do is you're going to put these side by side. So we have our program, we have our pictures. Now all you have to do, find a picture you want to add in. We have it here. Just simply click it, and then drag and drop it on the line you want to add it to. So we dropped it right on that deck line, and now that picture is added into our report. Once it's been added in, we can click on it, pulls up the edit image screen here, and we can make some changes to the picture. So we can make it larger or smaller, and we can also make decorations. And so you can draw arrows or ellipses, and you can choose from different colors. So we'll just go ahead, just draw just 2 red arrows. You simply just draw it right on a picture. You can also add text, and so we'll say this is the issue. And with that text, you can change the color. So we'll just change this to black. You can also change the location and the size. So if you want it to stand out a little bit more, you can position it where you want it, make it the size you want. Once you're done making your markups, simply click on OK, and you're ready to move on. Your picture's been added. You've shown your client exactly what you want them to see. So once again, all you have to do to add a picture is simply find that picture you want to add in, click it, drag it, and then just drop it on the line you want to add it to. So at this point, that's a look at exactly how to fill out information on a PC. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take this inspection, we're going to use the cloud drive, we're going to upload it to the cloud drive, so that way we can grab it on our mobile device, and we're going to take a look at how to use the PalmTech app. So to do all that, simply click on Save, then right next to Save, we have a button that says Send to Cloud. You tap that button, PalmTech takes care of the rest. It's now going to be available to be opened, to be worked on any other device you're using PalmTech on. So I'm going to go ahead and just close out of all this, close out of this as well. And I'm going to open up the PalmTech app. And so what we're looking at here, this is the main screen for the PalmTech app. So this is exactly how PalmTech is going to work on an iPhone, an iPad, an Android phone, or an Android tablet, with the only difference being between those different devices, the size of the screen. So let's say you were using a smaller phone. Your screen may look more like that. Let's say you're using a larger tablet. It might look like that. But the great thing is, regardless of the device, it looks and it works the same. With all that said, let's get started. So on the app, if you want, you can start a new inspection, fill it out, add your pictures, review it, turn it into a PDF, and then email it off. You can do all that from the mobile device. You don't need a PC to do any of it. You can also start an inspection, do most of it, and then send it over to your PC to finish it. Or you can do what we're doing here, which is we're going to start it on a PC, we're going to open up on the app, and then continue working on it. So to do that, we'll simply tap on Open. We'll tap on Look in Cloud Drive. Here, 123 Summer Street, this is the file we are working on. We'll click on that, it opens it up, and we're ready to go. Now one thing you'll see here is instead of having a list of your categories kind of over on the left-hand side like we had on a PC, we just have them right smack dab in the middle. So here's all the different categories, and you can see the entire list. Just take your finger, swipe up and down. You can find the category you want. To enter a category, to start filling out information, just tap on it with your finger. So we're going to tap on Lots and Grounds. We're now looking at the Edit Category screen, and you can see all the information we already filled out on the PC. So all we have to do now is pick up where we left off. Now the screen looks a little bit different, but it works the same. You're just working through those 4 columns, your ratings, items, descriptions, and your notes. There's actually a couple different ways to fill out information when using the app, so we're going to take a look at the different methods. And we'll get started with the balcony line. And again, you can just take your finger, swipe up and down to see all the lines in a category. So the balcony line, good to go. It's acceptable, and so to mark it as acceptable, the first way you can do it is simply by double tapping. As you double tap, it'll cycle through the options in the rating or the drop down until you find the one you want. It's acceptable, so now we'll move on to the description. Same thing. Simply double tap, find the one you want, and then you're ready to move on. Next, we have grading. And we're going to say we have an issue with grading, so we're going to mark it as marginal. The second way to fill out information here, instead of just double tapping like we did there, tap and hold your finger down, and it's just going to cycle through the options. Once you find the option you want, all you have to do is simply let go, and it's going to lock that answer in. We can do the same thing here. Again, it just works its way through. You find the one you want, and then you let go, and you can do the same thing with notes. Now, as we're going through, and you're watching it cycle through, if you're watching that saying to yourself, you know what, that is going way too fast. There's no way I can read what I want with it cycling through so fast. Or, on the flip side, if you're looking at that saying, my goodness, that's taking too long, it'll take forever for it to find the one I want, not a problem. There's actually a setting in the app so you can control how fast or slow it cycles through the options to find what works best for you. So that's the second way to fill out information, and there's one more, and that's the edit line screen. And you can get to the edit line screen by simply tapping on the item. So I'm going to tap right on where it says Swale. It takes me to the edit line screen, and let's take a look at how this works. Again, on this screen, same information. Ratings, description, item, spot for notes. We're going to say the property doesn't have a swale, so if it doesn't have one, we'll mark it not applicable, and we're ready to move on. Now to go to the next line, you can take your finger, swipe right here from right to left, or simply tap on next. Here we have vegetation. We'll say it's acceptable. We have some trees. We're good to go. We'll tap on next. Window wells, we have an issue here, so we're going to mark it marginal. And we'll say it's covered. And since it's marginal, we want to talk about why it's marginal. And we'll just say it's unstable. And just like we could on a PC, as we're selecting items from drop-downs, if we want to elaborate, we want to type something in, simply tap in the box. It'll pull up your device's keyboard, and then you type in whatever you want. We talked about window wells, so let's move on to the next line. We're looking at the retaining walls, and I'm sure you noticed there's a picture on this line. And so, back when we were doing that, taking a look at how it worked on a PC, we added in a second picture, which just to show how easy it was to add in pictures. So that's where this picture came from. So we're going to fill out this line, and then we're going to talk about how pictures work on the app using a mobile device. So retaining walls, we got an issue. We're going to mark it defective. We'll say it's made out of block. Again, we'll say the wall's unstable. We could elaborate here. This is the other issue. And let's say, you know, we really want to show what's going on here. So we want to take a picture. Two different ways to add a picture in. The first one is this camera icon right here. You tap on this, it pulls up your device's built-in camera, snap the picture, adds it right to the line. The second way is this film strip, and this is to access your camera roll or your gallery. You tap on this, it's going to pull up all the pictures on your device. Simply find the picture that you want to add in, adds it right to the line. Now, the program I'm using right here is a simulator of the app on my laptop. I don't have a built-in camera to show how that works, but once you snap the picture, it's going to take you right to this screen here. This is where we can make those same changes to the picture that we could on a PC. So we can change the height. We want to make this thing larger, smaller. You would do that here. We can do markups. So we can do arrows or circles. So we'll pick circle. You can choose from different colors. Let's draw a red one. Simply draw on the picture. You can rotate the picture, get it in the orientation you want. You can also add text. So we'll select the T for text. We'll type in what we want. So let's say this is the notes. And again, we can change the color. Find the color that you want. You can also change the location. Once you get that set up to look the way you want, you simply tap on close. See your picture here with the markups, and you're ready to move on to the next line. So that's a look at how to fill out information here. So we're going to go ahead and tap on back. And we're going to tap on back one more time. So at this point, you now know everything you need to know to be able to complete an inspection using the PalmTech app. As I mentioned at the beginning of this part, you can do the entire inspection, start to finish, all from the app, review it, and then send it off. And there's actually a couple different ways to review your inspection on here. First, we have the summary review. So we tap on this. This is just going to show you everything marked with a rating that's set to go to a summary. So these are typically going to be those key items. This is a great way to review the inspection with your client. You can click on the item, and it'll say what the item is, what it was marked, the description, the notes, and then your picture with markups will show up here as well. We have a picture review. And so the picture review, exactly what it sounds like. It's just going to show you all the pictures you've added in the report. We've only added 2 pictures here, so this is actually a very short picture review, 1 and 2. And then you also have completeness check. So this is going to show you everything you've not filled out. And what you can do is you can actually click on an item, and it'll take you to that line, so that way you can quickly fill it out. This inspection, we've only filled out about 12 lines, so we have a lot still to do if we were to actually complete this whole thing. So we'll tap on back. Then the final way to review it is you can tap on this button here, and this is to email the report. The way that works is you tap on that, takes your inspection, turns it into a PDF, sends an email to yourself with that PDF attached. So what that allows you to do, if you wanted to see the actual report before it went to your client, you could simply review it on there. From there, when you're ready to send it to your client, simply forward that email. The PDF is attached, put in your client's email, send it off, and you're done. And so that, again, that allows you to do everything from the mobile device, get it in your client's hands. You don't need to do anything else on a PC. A lot of inspectors like to do it like that. Then other inspectors will do as much as they can or as much as they want in the field, but they still like to take it back to the main computer, sit down later in the day, and then give it a good final review, good final look over. That's easy to do as well. To do that, you would simply tap this button right here for upload. What it does, takes its inspection, uploads it to the cloud, and then we can minimize this, and now it's going to be available to use, again, on any other device, and in this case, on our laptop here. So I'm going to open up the PalmTech program. Here we have, under recent cloud inspections, we have 123 Summer Street. That's the one we've been working on. That's the one we want. So we'll click on it, click on open. Here it says, hey, wait a second. This file with the same name, it already exists on the local computer. Do we want to overwrite this? And so what this is coming from is we started it on the laptop, worked on it on the mobile device. That older version is still on the laptop. So it's saying, hey, do we want to overwrite that older version with this new one? And we do, because we want to open up the file we just modified. So I'm going to click on yes to overwrite that. PalmTech does its thing, downloads it, opens it up. And here, if we go to Lots and Grounds, we'll see here's all the information we filled out on the PC originally, and here's all the information we just worked on with the app. Once you're done with an inspection, you can review the inspection on the PC just like we could with the app. And another way you can do it on the PC is you can actually go to Print Preview. So what this will do is this will show you exactly what the report looks like. So we're going to skip ahead to the Lots and Grounds category. We'll see all the information we filled out. We have our ratings, the items, the descriptions, and then the notes. And one thing I wanted to highlight here is you can just see the power of having this show up in red. It really stands out. My eyes immediately go to that in the picture to see what's going on. And another thing I want to say is if you're looking at this report and you're saying, you know what, I don't love the way this report looks, I don't like checkboxes, not a fan of the green, I don't like the fonts, that's okay. These are simply the standard out-of-the-box settings, completely customizable by you. You can set this report to use the colors, the fonts. You don't like checkboxes, you don't need to have the checkboxes here. You can set this up to look the way you want. Here in a few moments, when we start the second demonstration and we talk about customization, that's going to be one of the first things we take a look at. The last thing I want to highlight here is I want to jump towards the end to the summary section. And so PalmTech will automatically create summaries of those key issues found, those key items found. And by default, it's set up to create a summary of everything that's marked marginal and then everything marked defective. And in that summary, you have the item, the description, and then the notes. You can also have the picture show up here as well. And that's great because if you do the inspection, you put together a good-looking report, client gets it, one of the first things they're going to want to see is, okay, what's wrong? What are the key things I need to focus on? And of course, they have the body of the report, all the details, and it's good to have that available, but having those key items in one spot, that's going to make their lives easier. It's going to make the lives of the agents easier as they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get these things taken care of so we can get this deal closed. Once you're done with the inspection on the PC, you've reviewed it, you can simply email it off. To do that, you just tap on here where it says print to PDF. It's going to create the PDF and it says, great, hey, we just created a PDF for you. What do you want to do with it? If we hit open, it's going to open it up so we can take a look at it. If we tap on email, and we have a program on our computer like Outlook, Eudora, or an actual email program installed locally, you tap on email, it opens up your email, starts a new email, and attaches the PDF, and then you can send it off. Now, most inspectors don't use an email program that's installed locally on a computer. A lot of times you're going to use something that's web-based, Gmail, Yahoo, or even something through your website, where you go to a website, you log in, you have access to it. In that scenario, what you would do is you would simply tap on nothing. The PDF's been created. It goes in your PalmTech folder. So now you simply open up your email, start a new email, attach the file, and you send it off. So it makes it very easy to get the information from PalmTech into a PDF and into your client's hands. So that actually wraps up the first demonstration. And before we jump into the second one, I want to take a quick look at some of the most popular hardware that's used by PalmTech users, because this is one of the most common questions that we get. So we'll go ahead and minimize that. I'm just going to jump back to the PowerPoint. All right, so here we go. As far as hardware options, you got a lot of options, right? So it works on Windows devices, so desktops, laptops, tablets, as long as they have XP, 7, 8, or Windows 10 on them. Now, XP is pretty old at this point, so I don't know if there's anybody on here that's still going to have an XP machine, but if you do, PalmTech will run on there. Going more strictly mobile, iPads, iPhones, Android phones, Android tablets, works great on those devices. On the specifics with the mobile, again, iPhone. With the iPad, there's a couple different models. So you have like the Mini, the Air, and then you have the Pro. It runs great on all of them. Android phones, the Galaxy S series, the Samsung Note, Google's Pixel. That's a real nice phone. And then with tablets, the Galaxy Tab series. I think the S3, that's kind of their latest and greatest. That's a good device. Galaxy Note again, and then the Google Nexus. When it comes to hardware, I mean, the biggest thing to keep in mind is the newer the device and the better the device, the better it's going to run apps. So if you get an Android tablet that's 7 years old and costs you $80 because you bought it at Walmart, yeah, PalmTech will probably work on there, but it's going to be slow. And it's not that PalmTech is slow, it's just it's not a very good device. And so when you're looking at, even iPhones, any of the models from the past, probably up to 3 years are going to run it great. Older ones will still run it. You're just going to start to see a performance drop the older you get. Same thing with the iPad and really with any of these. So with that said, that's a look at the hardware. We're going to minimize this. We're going to jump right back into the program. So now that we've looked at how to use the program, how to enter information, that part's easy, right? Now what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at how to customize the software, how the reports look, the templates. And we're going to start by taking a look at how to customize the way reports look. And to do that, we're going to open up the example inspection. The reason we're doing this is because this is an inspection that's done, completely filled out. Everything's been entered, we have pictures, and we're going to go to print preview. And we're going to take a look at how this looks. Again, using our standard settings. So it starts off, we have a table of contents. And getting into the categories, we can see our pictures. And just kind of observe how it looks. So we have check boxes. We have these green category headers. We have some information up top. Overall, very clean, very professional looking report. We'll skip ahead a little bit. We'll sketch those summaries at the end. So we have the marginal summary, followed by the defective summary. So I like the way this looks. This looks good. But there's a lot we can do to customize it and change it to make it look the way you want. And to do that, we'll close this, and we're going to go into print settings. Everything that impacts the way that report looks and is laid out, that's done in print settings, and you're working through a series of tabs. So you have margins, page options, header, cover page, fonts, and then a colors tab. Now, tonight's webinar, we could do an entire webinar kind of going through all the options here. We're going to hit the most important ones. And if you have specific questions about, hey, can I do this, or what does this option mean? Give us a call, shoot us an email, or we have a great video on our website. It's about 15 minutes long, I think, and it walks through every option on all these screens in detail. And that's a great way just to see all those. But with that said, let's spend our time not talking about what we're not going to see, but let's talk about what we will see. So on the margins tab, as you might expect, first thing, page margins. Set these up the way you want. It's pretty straightforward. After that, we have category headers. And this is where we have like lots and grounds exterior, that header for each section. So let's change the way this looks. And so we're going to change this to, say, left justified with bold line. We'll keep it large. And then for the color, let's go red. And you can choose one of our pre-built colors, or you can also use a custom color to get the exact one that you want. We'll select red. Below that, we have default report style. And this is great. Let's say right out of the gate, I don't like checklist looking reports. That's not for me. I want something that's narrative. First thing you want to do when you're coming in here is you want to come here, you want to click on narrative. Because what this will do is this will change various options on these tabs to get you to kind of a standard format for a narrative report. And then from there, you can make whatever other changes you want, but it helps get you on that track faster. So you have that for checklist, you have that for narrative, combination. I don't quite love checklist. I don't want something that's strictly narrative. Hey, Palm Tech, what do you have for me? We have combination. It just kind of takes some of the best of both worlds. Again, gives you a pre-built format. And then from there, you can tweak it, customize it, set it up to make it just truly the way you want it. And then classic. I'm not sure if a lot of inspectors use this anymore. If you've been with us long, we've been doing this for almost 20 years. So if you've been with us for a long time, maybe you're using version 5 from 10 years ago, and you just loved the way version 5 looked out of the box, go to Classic, you tap on that, it'll get you back to those settings, and then again, tweak it how you want from there. So let's look at margins, and now we're going to jump to page options. Quite a few options here on page options. We'll just kind of hit some of the high points. Here, do you want it to create summaries? We do. We'll leave that checked. Do you want it to do a table of contents? If you don't want a table of contents, you don't have to have one. You would simply uncheck that. Personally, I like it. I'm going to leave that in. So we have view photos. And right now it's set to have photos show up in the summary and then the body. But what I want these to show up just in the body. And the reason you might change that is if you want the summary to just have text, be a little bit cleaner, maybe a little bit shorter, then you can take the photos out of it by doing that here. And that's up to you, but we'll do that to see what that looks like. So we're going to have those just in body. The print order, this essentially comes down to, hey, do you want your summary at the end of the report or the beginning of the report? Right now, it's at the end. Let's go ahead and bump it up to the beginning. And finally, ratings. Right now, they're set up as boxes. That gives us that checkbox feel. You can set it so they don't print, or you can set it so they show up as text. I like to have them as text, personally, so I'm going to change that as text. And for our rating keys, at the top of each category, this is kind of, does it explain what's acceptable or marginal? Does it explain that each time? Right now, it's set so it explains it once at the beginning of the report, and then kind of gives you a quick explanation at the top. If I wanted that full explanation at the top of every section, I could change this to full, and you'll see the impact that has here in a few minutes. So next we have header. So one of the cool things about the header is there's a lot you can do with it. And so when we're looking at the header, the first thing I want to point out is you can kind of use our standard options and customize this. Or if you're saying, you know what, Palm Tech, I like your standard options, but I want more control. I like to set things up the way I want. What you would do is you would click on Custom, Edit Customize Layout, and then you can come in here and you can set this up however you want. You can add your logo in, put the logo in the exact spot you want, move your company name where you want, add in whatever information. Again, this is all about giving you control to set it up the way you want. I'm going to click on Close. For the webinar tonight, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use some of our preset ones. And so let's make a couple changes here. So right now we have the date and time. That shows up on the top left line too. You know what? I don't really need that on there, so I'm just going to put Don't Show. So we have a page number showing up in top left, line 1. I like that. Then we have our client name, the property address on the top right. That's good. Let's add in our website. Let's say we wanted this to show up at the top of every page. So I'm just going to do www.mywebsite.com. I want this to show up. We'll say top right, line 3. So that's set up the way we want. And then company logo. We can add our logo in. Just click these 3 dots. Navigate to where your logo's at. Click on OK. Bam, logo's added in. And again, you can position this, set this up the way you want. But we've made a couple changes. I think the header will look pretty solid. So now we'll move on to cover page. Cover page, kind of that same disclaimer at the beginning as with header. You can come in here. Actually, first off, include cover page. So you check that. And then from there, you can come in here, use one of our pre-built formats, or you can say, again, Palm Tech, your pre-built formats, they're pretty good, but I think I can do something better on my own. Okay, more power to you. You go to option 5, edit custom cover page. You set this up the way you want. Make the picture the size you want and the spot you want. Make your logo as big or as small. Include whatever text where you want it. Really easy to come in here, set this up how you'd like. But for now, we're gonna use kind of the pre-built ones. And there's a couple different options, and it gives you a quick description of each of them. And then when you select the option, you'll kind of see a preview over here. For the logo, we added it in before to show up on every top of every page of the report, but not the cover page, because you might want that to look different. We don't. We want the logo to show up here. So I'm just going to click on Locate. Again, select that logo. For the main text, all right, so main text, this looks like it's kind of the report title. And so I'm going to call this Home Inspection Report. Maybe you want to call it Property Inspection Report, Property Condition Report, whatever you want. You set that up. Additional text. So this shows up next to the logo with my company name. I want my phone number to show up there. I think that'll be good to have there on the front of that. 2462. Perfect. Cover page set up the way we want. So now we'll move on to fonts. As you might imagine, fonts, focused on fonts. And so you have 3 different fonts to really work with here. So you have your template text, your data text, then your company name. Company name, very straightforward. On your report, you have your company name on there. This is the font that controls how that looks. The difference between a template text and a data text. Template text, anything that's part of your template. So kind of like the structure. So category header, lots and grounds, or even within the lots and grounds, we have those individual lines. Walks, driveway, patio, porch. That's your template text. Data text, that's anything you type in. And so when you're putting in the material, concrete, brick, concrete pitted and chipped. I think we put that in for the porch. That's your data text. And so right now, they're actually set to be the same. What I like to do is actually like to make those be a little bit different. And so I'm going to come here to template text, and I'll make a quick change to this. So once this pulls up, I'm going to keep it Franklin Gothic. I'm just going to mark this to be bold. I'm going to click on close. And so what that'll do is that'll just make them stand out a little bit more, separate them a little bit more, and that one change will have quite a big impact on the way the report looks. Almost to the point where we'll look at that, but we want to look at this last tab for colors. So colors, one of the things you can do with PalmTech is you can set up the colors the way you want. And so you can take our color, you can rename it, click on edit, and then make it whatever you want. And so typically what inspectors will do is they might come in here and then make some tweaks to our standard ones to maybe change the red to be the red they prefer. You can also come down here to say accent light, accent dark, and then just make a major change to the way this looks. And so for accent light, let's say, you know what, I'm actually just going to call that orange. You come here to edit, and we'll get this orange. You can kind of get whatever variation of orange you want. We'll go a little bit lighter. We'll click on OK. Now the color orange, that's available for use everywhere in the inspection, everywhere in the report where there's a color choice. So category headers, fonts, markups on pictures, I now have orange as an option. You can also just tweak a current color. And so I don't love this green. I actually want this, let's say I wanted this to be a little bit darker. You can sit there and toggle it. And so I'm going to keep it as green. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker green. Maybe a little bit of a truer green. Click on OK. And it's still green. It's just a different shade of green. So we've taken a look at print settings, looked at some options, changed some options. So now let's click on OK. And we're going to go back to the printed report. And we're going to take a look at how this looks now. One of the first things we see that's different is we have this thing that pops up for the company, for the cover sheet data. We added a cover page to the beginning of the report. And so this is where we can add in our picture and some text. We've already done that. So let's take a look. First difference, we have a cover page now. Set up the way we wanted. And again, if you're looking at this saying, I think I can do better, go for it. Customize it in print settings, set it up the way you want. So now when we go to the next page, we see quite a few differences here. So we have our logo here. We see the different information up top. And if I were to go through and really fine-tune this, I probably would not have the page number above the logo. I'd either put the page number over here, I'd flip the logo up, and those are just tweaks you can make as you're setting it up. We have our summary at the beginning, so that's a big difference here. And also in the summary, one of the differences is there's not any pictures in there because we changed it. Instead of having pictures in the summary in the body, they're only in the body now. So it just gives the summary a different look. Table of contents. So let's skip ahead. Let's go here to lots and grounds. And so we actually have the exact same information that we had before. It's just presented differently. And so we have the red category headers. We also have this kind of the text with the bold line instead of having that kind of the big block of color across. We have the full rating keys. So again, it's just going to give a full explanation of what every single rating shows at the top of the category. Some inspectors really like that. Some inspectors think it's overkill. Pick the one you want. That's up to you. No more checkboxes. So if you're cringing every time we looked at checkboxes earlier, you can now relax. We took out the checkboxes just by changing an option. And so now we have the rating spelled out. And then kind of the last major change was we made that text bold. And so the template text, that's now bold versus what we enter, the data text, that's not bold. And so it just separates it a little bit more, makes it a little bit easier to read through and just be distinguished. And as you see, just the rest of the report. Again, regardless of how you set this up, it's clean, it's simple, it's professional, but we want to make sure you make it the way you want. And so with that, that's a look at how to customize the way your reports look. Again, you just go into print settings, 6 different tabs here, set it up the way you want. You can experiment, you can try some different things. Let's say you come in here, you're clicking around, you make some changes, and you go to print preview. Not loving what you see and say, man, I just kind of want to start over. At any point in time, you can go back to the out-of-the-box settings, just click on Restore Default Print Settings. It's going to say, hey, you sure you want to do this? You click on yes, it resets it, and then you can start over if you want to do that. So that's a look at print settings. Let's shift gears. Let's take a look at how to customize the template. And the very first thing we're going to take a look at is how to edit ratings. To edit your ratings, we go up to Edit, and then we go to Ratings. We have the default rating set, highlight it, and then click on Edit, and this is the Edit Rating Set screen. Making changes here, very easy to do, and we're going to make a couple. So the first change we're going to make is we're going to say, you know what, I don't need this not present rating. It's just not something I'm going to use. If you don't want a rating, click on it, delete the rating. Next, I'm going to add in a rating for safety issue. I might come across something that's marginal, something that's defective. There's other things I might just want to alert my client about. Say, hey, this is kind of a safety concern. You need to pay attention to this for safety reasons. You want to add in a rating? Click on Add Rating. For the name, we'll just call this Safety Issue. We'll give it an abbreviation of SI. Anything I mark as safety issue, that's important. That's a priority. So I want the notes to automatically show up in blue. For the explanation, you can type in whatever explanation you want. And then here you have a couple, kind of a series of check boxes, and these are just different properties for this particular rating. The one I care about here is summary. Create summary of item marked with this rating. Look, if I mark it as safety issue, it's important. I want a summary created. I want to see everything that was marked with a safety issue go in one spot. And that's all you have to do to create a new rating, change the color of it, and then tell it to create a summary. From an order standpoint, I don't want this not after, or I don't want this after not applicable, so I'm going to move this up. We'll put it between marginal and defective. And the rest of these ratings look good. I don't love acceptable. Let's just change this to satisfactory. We'll change the abbreviation to S. All right, perfect. So we've made a couple changes. Once you're done making changes, tap on Close, close again, and we get a message. It says, hey, if you've made changes to the active rating set, which we did, you must start a new inspection for these changes to take effect. All right, so what does this mean? So what this means is if you change your ratings, it's not going to change the ratings for any inspection you've already started or you've done. And that's important, and that's the way you want it to work. Because if you go through and you do, you're using Palm Tech for 2 years, and then you decide you want to change some of your ratings, you don't want to make changes to your ratings and then have it impact your old inspections. That's going to change the date, what's been entered. You don't want it to do that. So those older reports you've already done won't be changed, won't be impacted. They'll stay intact. But when we start a new inspection, all those changes will be there. So let's click on OK, saying we understand that. We're going to go up to File, New. Let's start a new inspection. Let's see those changes in action. So I'll click on House. Click on OK. I'm just going to call this Test. And you want to go to Lots and Grounds. Here we are. Our modified ratings are there. We got satisfactory, not present, that's gone. And safety issue has been added in, and it's in the spot we want. So that's a look at how to edit ratings. The last thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at how to make changes to kind of the structure of your template. How do I delete stuff? How do I add stuff? How do I rename stuff? And how do I change the order of it? So let's just do it. Let's jump in. And so first we're going to take a look at how to do all those things with categories. So let's say we want to add in a new category for an inspection agreement. To add in a new category, we'll go up to Tools, Add Category. It says, hey, do you want to copy in a category that already exists? And sometimes this is really helpful. In this case, it's not. We don't want to copy one. We want to start with the clean one. So we'll click on No, and we'll give the category name. So let's call this Inspection Agreements. Use line numbers and ratings in printed report. Sometimes you want this, sometimes you don't. Kind of the best way to know whether you want this, if you're creating a category that's simply going to contain information, an agreement, standards of practice, an opening letter, something like that, you don't want the line numbers and ratings. If you're creating a category that's going to be set up, like a lot of these other categories, we have a lot of inspection items in your ratings and stuff, you would keep that checked. Agreement, we don't want it, we want to check it, we'll click OK. All right, so choose the category. You want to insert a new category after. All right, where do we want this to show up? Actually, we want this to be at the top. So we'll just check insert at top. We'll click OK. And we have our new inspection agreement. Great. We click on it. There's nothing here. So what we've done, we've added the category, but now we got to add the stuff to the category that we want. So we'll go to Tools, Add Component. We happen to have a component already set up for inspection agreement. We'll select that here. We'll click on OK. It adds it in. So for the agreement, kind of has a couple parts. Here has some items with merge fields. And so for like the address, the company name, your client information, you don't want to have to type that stuff out more than once. So at PalmTech, you put it in general information. If you want it to show up somewhere like inspection agreement, it uses these merge fields. And so that way it just looks at whatever you typed into general information and then plugs it in here for you. It saves you time. It makes it simpler. And I think all of us, if we want to save time, we want things to be simpler. That's what those help you do. Now for the actual agreement, you click on here. And what this will do is it'll pull up a note piece basically, and you just put your agreement here. Simplest way to do it is if you have the text in a Word doc or a PDF, copy it, paste it in, you're good to go. Then of course with the agreement, you have a spot to collect a signature for your client. So that's a look at how to add categories in. What if I want to delete one? I'm in an area of the country, we don't have basements. They're just not on our houses. I don't need this. Not a problem. Right click, delete. You sure you want to delete this? Absolutely. Gone. That category's been removed. First thing I do when I get to a property. Let's say the first thing I do is I like to inspect the roof first. I don't want roof to be the fourth one here. I want it to be right after general information. Click on it. Drag it where you want it to go. See that gray line? That shows you where it's going to go. I want it to be right after general information. I let go. We've now changed the order of lines. Finally, how do I rename a category? I got garage carport. I'd rather just call it garage. I don't need the carport on there. Click on it, go to Tools, Rename Category, take off carport. We got garage, click on OK, done. And so just in a few minutes there, that's how you add categories, delete categories, rename them, and then change the order. We're going to take a look at those same set of changes on how to do that on individual lines. So we'll go here to Lots and Grounds. To add a line, go to Tools, Add Line. Quite a few different types to choose from. The most common one's your one question answer. So we'll select that and we'll say just new line item. That's what we want this to be called. We want this to show up after the deck. I click on OK. Our new line item's been added in. And the cool thing is when you're adding in lines, you know, the ratings, those are there. You have a spot for your drop down so you can start adding those in. So those lines, they come in ready to go, ready to be used. You don't have to do anything else. To delete a line, if I don't inspect lawn sprinklers, I don't need this in here. Just right click on the line, select delete line. You sure? We are. We'll click yes. Line's been removed. To change the order, all you have to do is find the line you want to move. Click on the little icon over here. And so we'll move walks above driveway. You simply drag it where you want. And again, that gray line, that tells you where it's going to go. And then finally, to rename a line, just double click on the words and then make the change you want. Just call this steps instead of step stoops. And the change has been made. And so I know we covered a lot there and kind of those last, actually the whole time we've covered a lot, but specifically in those last 7-8 minutes when we were taking a look at how to customize, we covered a lot, but it's really that easy. And so just knowing how to add, delete, rearrange, and rename, that gives you the control you need to set this up exactly how you want. Once you've done setting up your template, you got it ready to go, go to Tools, Save as Template. It says, hey, your inspection contains data. Do you want to erase this before creating it? Sometimes you might want to actually pre-fill stuff, and so you don't want to erase it, so you would click on No. In this case, I didn't pre-fill anything that we wanted, so let's click on Yes. We'll clear that out. For the file name, I'm just going to call this Adams Template. You can call this whatever you want. Click OK. Great. Template's been created. Do you want to send this to your cloud drive so you can use this on your mobile device? I do. I want this to be available on my iPhone and my iPad or whatever devices you use. So I'll click on Yes. It transmits, and now that's been sent. And so now, when we go to start a new inspection, we're going to have an option for Adam's template. So if I select it, all those changes we just made, those are now there. Our agreement's added in. Garage, that's called garage, not garage carport. Basement's gone. And roof is first. Same thing within the lots and grounds. Our new line's there. We deleted lawn sprinklers, so that's gone. We moved walks up, and then steps and stoops, that's renamed. So you make the changes you want one time. You save it as a template, then they're all set moving forward. So that actually wraps up our second demonstration. So I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint. We're going to take a look at a couple last things, and we're going to wrap up right here on time, it looks like. All right, so one of the things that we really work hard on at PalmTech is just tech support. We take good care of you. You got questions, you give us a call, you send us an email, we're here to help. We really work hard on that. But the other thing we do is we put together just a massive collection of online support resources to help you learn at your own pace and have access to just everything you might want to know. So this includes over 65 step-by-step video tutorials. And so those are pretty similar to what we've done here tonight, only it's broken out a little bit more. So if you were to say, hey, how do I use the custom cover page editor? Man, there's a 10-minute video that shows how that works. How do I edit ratings? I know we looked at it tonight, but I'd love to see that again. 5-minute video that shows how that works. And so those are really helpful. If you don't love to watch things, you prefer reading, well, first off, I want to thank you, because if you don't love watching things, you stuck with me for an hour watching me go through it. But we have step-by-step docs that just walk through step-by-step how to do something. Hey, how do I send my template to my iPad? There's a document that shows how to do that. How do I delete a line? And it just everything you can think of, that's covered. Twice a month we create a new article, and those are really focused on just what's the latest hardware, where we'll just give kind of these couple key points on this piece of hardware, here are the specs, and it's just helpful to have. Of course, we have the standard FAQs, and we try to make sure we have a good, up-to-date recorded webinar, just what we did here tonight. So that way, if you want to go back, you just love this so much, you want to listen to this and watch it again, we'll get that on the website. Next webinar. So we always do a webinar the first Wednesday of every month. It's the same time slot. We go over the basics of how to use PalmTech. And if you want to sign up for it, you can do that on our website. You can send us an email, give us a call. We're going to do a poll here in probably about a minute. And you can say, hey, Adam, can you just go ahead and register me for that? I want to make sure I'm a part of that. And so when inspectors are deciding what software to use, they're going to ask. A lot of times you ask, hey, what makes your program the best? And when we hear this at PalmTech, it gets me excited because we're confident that we do have the best software. And there's a lot of areas we're able to kind of point to back up that claim. So areas such as having the easiest to use and understand program, having the best mobile app that truly allows you to do that entire inspection, start to finish, all from your mobile device, great tech support, no ongoing fees. I would say again, no ongoing fees. So not having to pay 15 or 20 bucks a month to use our cloud, we don't charge you for that. That keeps your costs down. That saves you money. And then, of course, just a proven system that's been around for almost 20 years at this point. Thousands of inspectors use it every day. So, of course, I understand, hey, words are just words. And just because I'm saying something, it doesn't make it true. And so because of that, I encourage you, if you're looking at what software to use, take a hard look at the options. Dive in. Spend some time with it. Do a demo, do a mock inspection. Make sure you're able to see firsthand that the software you're considering can back up the claims of the company or the salesperson selling it. And my hope is, in this past hour, we did just that with PalmTech. All right, so as we wrap it up tonight, I want to know, is there anything I can do to help you move forward? So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. It's launched, and tell us, hey, do you want to sign up for that webinar September 6th? 7 o'clock Eastern. You ready to get started with PalmTech? Get that in your hands. We can get you going with that. If you're currently using PalmTech and you have questions, or as we're going through this, sparked other questions, let us know. We'll contact you. We'll help you out how we can. Or if you're good, nothing we can do for you, great. Just mark none of the above. If you do ask for tech support, we'll follow up with you tomorrow and we'll make sure we get you squared away. All right, we'll leave this open for a few more seconds. All right, great. So we're constantly posting helpful articles and good information on our Facebook page. And it's also a great place to ask questions and connect with other inspectors who use PalmTech. If you haven't liked the page yet, as soon as this webinar ends in about 20 seconds, log into Facebook, search for PalmTech, like our page. We'd love to connect with you like that. And so with that, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to attend the webinar tonight. We're going to follow up with those of you who requested it, and I'm going to stand by for a few more minutes. Any questions that came in, I'm going to start working on those now. Feel free to send some more in as well. This does conclude this evening's webinar, PalmTech Basics. Have a great night.